Ow, that was loud. Okay, I think that worked. Maybe? It says it's worked. I can only take it at face value. Okay, yeah. Looks like it's worked. I did literally announce it like 4 minutes ago, so may take a while for people to gather. Hey, Implying. How's it going? This is very loud in my ears. Hey, Repairs. It is Thursday talk time. There originally wasn't going to be a Thursday talk today. It was scheduled very last minute, hence the announcement 4 minutes ago. Hey, Padatha. Hey, John. Yeah, this was a very last minute Thursday talk. Which does also mean I have nothing planned, by the way. Absolutely no topics or anything prepared. It was announced 4 minutes ago. Thank you, Upper Queen. So, here's a fun fact. Everyone who's watched that video has watched it one more time than me. I mean, I guess I've watched it once, like, in editing, but since it was rendered and uploaded, I haven't seen the video. Which I don't think has ever happened before. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I'm just sort of hoping everything there works. I obviously watched it when I was editing it, but, like, I've not actually done, like, sort of a final watch of it, so... It got finished very late last night. I set an alarm very early this morning for when it was done rendering to upload it, and then went back to sleep afterwards. We may do one for crests at some point, Hex. I think crests is an option in the current poll. We also have one for bosses lined up at some point, because I said I was going to do 2 this month. The bosses one may be pushed into next month. This month is stupidly busy for channel stuff. We obviously started a new series. Breaking Down is all over the place right now. The next one is worryingly positioned at the minute, but it'll be done. It'll be done. Crest is actually winning the next one so far. One relic or weapon from a Fire Emblem game, what would it be? Ooh. Probably Ima. I think it looks really cool. My little Edelgard behind me is holding an Ima. I'm glad you liked the video. I was really happy with how it was coming out. I can't say I was happy with how it came out because I don't know. But from what I understand, it should have came out looking really good. Falkion is the other, like, obvious one, right? Like, it would just be really cool. Ragnell is cool. Also, I have, like, this is a weird one because it's not a relic weapon, but something like a Fire Emblem 8 Silver Lance, like, holds a really special place in my heart because it was, like, I think it was probably the first weapon I ever used because FE8 was the first game I played, and Seth Big Numbers is a lot of fun. Levin swords are cool. The Sword of Seros is actually a really cool one too. Biases to bonk people lightly. True. But yeah, for those of you who may not have seen it, a few hours ago the edited version of the combat arts tier list went up. It took so much off of the original stream. Jeez, it took like over an hour off. I'm regardless of anything else, I think that was a huge success. Silverlance in the GBA games was so cool. Like, FE8 was my first one. Seth with Silverlance is like just an iconic thing. Healing Staff would be insanely practical. The editing of those tier lists takes so long. Like, I appreciate when people like them more than the originals so much because they're, for what they are, like an edited version of content that already exists, they feel like so much work. Like, they're probably similar in terms of like workload to a Breaking Down. Maybe not. Breaking Down requires more scripting and research, but in terms of like editing, for sure, it's probably more. But I'm glad it did good. Also, the funny little Anna clip from yesterday did well too. There's no point in me getting someone to help with editing. Like, it's not financially viable. My videos don't earn enough for me to justify getting someone to help with editing. And I wouldn't ask someone to, like, work for me for free. Not consistently, anyway. That wouldn't feel right. Like, just on a moral level. Oh, Lewin's really cool too. Three Houses has great relics. Three Houses does have really cool relics. Diocese is actually really cool. I think a lot of the, like, visual stuff in Three Houses, like, where they actually put effort into the visuals looks really good. It's a shame that isn't everywhere, but where they did, looks really good. Some places it's really odd, like having a fully 3D render of, like, every map. But it's cool. Like, I don't know how many people make use of it, but I'm not upset with it at all. You wish they kept the Fates art style in Three Houses? I don't know, I like the Three Houses art style, but like... meh, I don't know. If we were to go back to an older art style, I'd really like GBA. I don't think that's an uncommon opinion at all. I think there's a lot of love for the GBA visuals, but I would like to go back to a sprite-based game at some point. I just think it looks so good. I think, like, even now, FE8 looks, and, like, FE7 and 6, obviously, look really good. I don't actually know how Caduceus looks off the top of my head. Let me Google it. Oh, that's Caduceus. Okay, I do know how it looks. I just never actually realized that was Caduceus. Okay. No, it does look really cool. The GBA graphics, like, really are timeless. Like, they look really good. But I think that's because that was kind of their point. Like, their objective wasn't to look, like, realistic or high-tech or, like, anything like that. Like, they were just meant to look good, and they do. And when things look good, they're always gonna look good. I'm very much aiming shots at FE11 and 12 here. That's firmly where my sights are pointed with those comments. Same, Repairs. Me too. Me too. The sound effects are great too. If you haven't played it, if anyone hasn't played it, Dark Deity gives me major GBA Fire Emblem vibes. I haven't finished it or even got particularly far. I think I'm on like chapter 8 because, like with everything, my dumbass puts it on the hardest difficulty first time and it kicked my ass at a couple of points. But that game is so fun. Oh my days. I'm surprised it got such a mixed reaction because I've had so much fun with Dark Deity. Yeah, what's a Fire Emblem, man? If in the next Fire Emblem they gave you an option for all of the battle animations to be like GBA-style sprite-based things, that'd be so good. Why Ike? Honestly, I tried Marth. I think Marth is in the thumbnail. Marth didn't fit that well, so I went with Ike. They're just... Ephraim and Erica didn't really fit. Like, the darker blues work better. So I tried Marth, didn't really work, went with Ike. Looked fine. Genuinely, that was the thought process behind it. Byleth goes on pretty much everything. Byleth is in a lot of my thumbnails because Byleth has a big marketable face. There's just the fact of the matter, like, it makes it very obvious to people it's a Three Houses or Fire Emblem video when Byleth's big face is on it. And then I'll usually go with something else to, like, distinguish what video it is. Like, I think the combat art one I went with Geralt. I think the one before that I did Sophis. Obviously for the Breaking Downs, I just put the actual character on there who the Breaking Down's about. Because I don't think, like... I think Breaking Down is more appealing to people who already recognize that, like, Petra is a Fire Emblem character, for example. Fates has my favourite animations purely because I like seeing my units jump into fight on attack stance. I've played Fates, but honestly, the animations just didn't stick in my mind that much. Some of them did, but, like... I have only played, like, part of Conquest, so that's probably why, but the animations there aren't super memorable to me. Byleth's design is just so, like... It's... If you asked me what game Byleth was from without knowing who Byleth was, I would say Fire Emblem. Like, their design just is Fire Emblem. I can't explain it. I don't know how it stands out from every other anime-looking game, but it's very Fire Emblem. I don't actually know what I mean, but it is. I've not really played Triangle Strategy. I've heard interesting things about it. I've heard really interesting things about the class balance and stuff, but, like... Oh my god, Hex. I think the weird thing about, like... maybe not. I was gonna say the weird thing about Fire Emblem is the males seem to have, like, the least practical outfits. They don't get called out for it because, well, we all know the answer to that, but they generally do. Even in Three Houses, but just in Fire Emblem in general. Blue hair with fancy sword probably is it. I see a lot of people say they don't like female Byleth's design. Like, I don't mind it. I think female Byleth in the Academy outfit is definitely, like, my personal favourite. I wish male Byleth in the Academy outfit didn't have the fucking hat. It looks so silly. Well, as out. Okay. Okay, but Balthus is literally, like... I mean, look at him. Oh my god, Hex. Who needs arm when you have Balthus's abs? See, I kind of like chainmail, but, like, I'm European. Like, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with, like, the medieval history stuff. So, I don't know, that kind of whole era still kind of sticks with me. I still like the aesthetics of it. Playing things like Age of Empires and stuff like that was my childhood. What do you mean, Herc? You ain't seen Solon? if we want to talk the most ridiculous outfits in Three Houses, it's definitely the Armor Knights and Fortress Knights literally wearing, like, a garage worth of metal and not having a helmet. It looks really silly. I definitely think Yuri is kind of fanservice-y. For sure. I don't think I don't actually think the Three Houses characters are that fanservice-y in general, though. I think some of them get called fanservice-y despite not really being fanservice-y. Like, I've seen, like, Edelgard or Rhea called, like, fanservice characters, but they're just girls. Like, if being a girl is what it takes to be fanservice, then, like, okay, yes, sure. Like, I think you could look at, like, Manuela or, like, post-time skip Hilda or something and maybe say that, but, like, some of the ones I see thrown out there are definitely odd to me. Edelgard being in love with Byleth is fun. So I mean, everyone's in love with Byleth. In fact, I take that back. Everyone's in love with everyone. Like, when you get towards the end game and you get everyone's A supports, you get the same character confessing their love to 3 different people. It's wild. Like... Okay, hot take. I don't even think Dorothea is that fanservice-y. She's just a girl. Like, especially, like, her part 1. Part 2 is more, but, like... Part 1, I never really got that impression. Although I definitely... Three Houses is now a harem game, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely fair. To be fair, I don't think the existence of Fire Emblem Heroes really helps the fan service arguments. Because, well, if we factor that in, then the conversation changes entirely. But a lot of the S-Support portraits definitely fair. Thank you all for providing topics, by the way. I was not prepared for this stream at all. I didn't think there was going to be this stream today. And then there was, suddenly. Favorite paired endings? Felix Leone, 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 Felix Leone. I really like Felix Leone. I actually really like Felix Annette as well. It's very... I really like Felix Annette too, but Felix Leone, like, is so good. Explain? I don't know if people, like, mind spoilers. The one where they become clowns. Like, they become, like, street performers. It gets a giggle out of me every time. Also, the ones where Lysithea does the good thing rather than the bad thing. Those paired endings are good. That's true, Herc. Can you all hear the music, by the way? It seems kind of quiet on the thing. The little bars I'm looking at. Leone is best Golden Deer girl. I like Leone a lot. I also really like Hilda, but I like both of them. I actually, like, it's just silly thing for me to say, but I like all the characters in the game. You do not hear the music? Boop. There is now music. There definitely are some marked upgrades and downgrades from pre to post time script. I apologize if you hear the Hoover in the background, by the way. There's some redecorating going on at the minute. Dimitri and Dedue should have been a paired ending. But yeah, there are definitely some upgrades and downgrades pre and post time skip. Who do people think is the biggest glow up post time skip? Like, who has the best improvement in their look? I feel like there's a very obvious answer, but that's just because pre-time skip he looks kind of bad. And then there's a lot of, like, strong contenders. Yes, aggressively mediocre got it in one. Aggressively mediocre got it in one. Yeah, I think, like, Lawrence is definitely the big one. Caspar's is really big, too, because apparently Ben Diskin characters really needed glow-ups. Oh, Linhart's is good. That's true. I like Annette, both pre and post time skip, but that is not a 5-year gap. I like Ferdy post time skip. Dorothea's pre is better. I like both of Dorothea's. I think they're both really solid. Cyril does look a lot healthier. I see where you're coming from, Winner, but the thing is, I like both of Petra's designs, like, independently of each other. I really like them both. I don't know which I like more, but I do like them both a lot. But then again, it's literally my favorite character in the game, so I'm going to say that. It's the same with Felix, like, and Happy. Like, I really like all of their designs. Dimitri pre to post. Dimitri pre to post is really good. I always thought Dimitri's hair, like, pre-time skip looked really weird. I think I know who my biggest downgrade is, but I think I might, enrage the masses if I say it. I think my biggest downgrade is Edelgard. Don't murder me, please. The thing is, like, I don't think, like, post-time skip Edelgard looks bad. I really don't. But I think pre-time skip Edelgard looks so fucking good. Like, there's a person who comes in my chat sometimes called Edelgard without horns or something, or hornless Edelgard, and their profile picture is, like, literally the post-time skip Edelgard, but without the horns, and it makes me laugh every time I see it. I don't actually think post-time skip Edelgard looks bad, but I think pre-time skip Edelgard looks so good. Like, it's such an iconic look, right? Like, I would almost say it's possibly, like, the best looking Three Houses design. I think there's a lot of really good looking Three Houses design. I'm not, like, definitive on that, but it's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah, I agree, Winner. I love post-time skip Claude. I think both Claudes look really good, but I also think both Claudes look really similar. Same with Sylvain. Like, I think both of them look good, but I also think they both look really similar, so it's kind of cheating. Same goes for Felix, actually. Like, it doesn't count when you barely change anything. Oh, because no one said it, post-time skip Leone is huge, too. I agree, Repairs. Like, even when you're introduced to the three lords, like, at the start of the game, I think Edelgard stands out as almost the main character. And I think, obviously, the game does things to push you towards that, with, like, the whole Kostas situation and all of that stuff. But, like, I think, like, something about Edelgard's design helps her stand out even amongst Claude and Dimitri, who stand out against most of the crowd. I genuinely think most characters look better than Pri. Probably fair. I've not played Three Hopes yet, so I'm not sure. I can't really comment too much. Oh, I have played Three Hopes, but I've not played much of it at all. So I can't really, like, comment on Three Hopes designs. Dedue has a cool design. Dedue has a cool design in both. I think Dedue looks great. I agree, Rat. I really agree. The designs in this game are really good. Apart from... Okay, the one line of designs is the, like, old grey-haired man that looks like a Pokemon evolution line. With, like, Leonardo, Gwendol, and Nemesis. I think that's probably, like, the only, like, designs in this game I'm not a huge fan of. Maybe someone like Acheron as well, but he doesn't count. No one cares about Acheron. Who do you believe has been the best villain story-wise and gameplay? Just in Three Houses, or in Fire Emblem in general? Gameplay-wise, it's the Black Knight. Story-wise, I think it's Arvis. Hot take, story-wise, it's Sigurd. Oh, he's the best villain. No, I think it's Arvis. I think Cyril's 21 post-time skip, right? I think from a gameplay perspective, the Black Knight is really, really good until the boss fight, which is poop. But outside of the boss fight, it's the Black Knight. If we can just pretend that boss fight doesn't exist... I think he starts 16, but I might be wrong. I seem to have it distinctly in my head that Cyril was older than Petra, because I always found it really weird. But I might be misremembering here. Oh no, you're right. He starts 14. I was wrong. He's 20 post time skip. He starts 14, turns 15, and then is 20 post time skip. Apparently, according to the Fire Emblem wiki, which means he could start 38 for all we know. But you know, we'll take it at its word for now. FE9. FE9. I don't know why I had it in my head that he was older than Petra. Hey, Akihiko. How's it going? I think... So, I have a lot of problems with the Black Knight fight. I don't necessarily think it... Like, I don't think him quote-unquote dying to a building falling on his head is particularly satisfying. I really don't like that if you lose that fight, you have to replay the entire level. Like, why they didn't make that fight its own isolated thing is beyond me, because that's just annoying. I get that's to encourage you to run away if you're in danger. I still don't think it's particularly great to play. Cyril couldn't kill things with point-blank volley on Chapter 5. So, what you want to do, Opera Queen, is you want to give him a Steel Bow Plus, and you want to find a way to get him 5 more damage. I personally do it through the Alliance Brawlers Battalion and putting him in Fighter. And if you do that, he one-shots everything except the Armor Knights. It's kind of nuts. I could have seen Grail being a playable character in a chapter or two. I think the start of Path of Radiance is probably the strongest point of the game, though, so I'm not too sure how much I want to mess with it. No problem, Opera Queen. Non-Wyvern Petra build. You can do anything with Petra. Like, it depends what you want to do with her. If you still want to do enemy phase things, you can go, like, Vantage Battalion Wrath. You could just go, like, player phase and just use Brave weapons if you want. You can go, yeah, you can go an enemy phase Assassin with Alert Stance and Battalion Wrath. You can go Assassin, or you can go, Swordmaster if you just want to see animations. Go, like, I don't know, Bishop if you want a really bad unit. Warmaster Petra. Okay, you can't go Warmaster. Meh. Grail could have been a really cool J-Gun because he would fall off harder than any others. I mean, they kind of did that with Quan, right? The problem is that Quan is a J-Gun in a game with Sigurd. Which, I mean, yeah, that's kind of tough for him to exist in, really. See, I see people talk about, like, I flip-flop on this a lot, I'll just say now, but, like, I see people talk about early game J-Guns in Three Houses, and I think there are a lot of cool options. There's Alois, there's, like, Green Unit Geralt, but ultimately, I don't really necessarily think it needs one. I think early game Three Houses is kind of fine. I get why people want a J-Gun, but I'm not entirely convinced that it needs one. A Fortress Knight Great Knight Petra once, I can imagine that being fun. My favourite J-Gun is Silver Snow Edelgard. I would like that one, aggressively mediocre. I would like Byleth to be better at base in general, because it's weird that they aren't. That would have been cool, Herc. I think getting to use the faculty more would have just been cool in general. You could even have taken, like, Rodrigue and Judith and people like that on the chapters where they show up. Like, where they're just hanging around the monastery. Like, bring Rodrigue along for a mission. Like, that would have been kind of nice. I wish, like, they just did more with those characters in general in Three Houses. I've heard Three Hopes does them a lot better, but... yeah, you're level 1, exactly. No, the best part is at level 10, the person who starts the game as a mercenary can finally qualify to become a mercenary. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Chapter 3, Catherine, Chapter 5... I mean, controlling Chapter 5 Gilbert would have at least made him not an enemy, which is kind of cool. With there being mission assist units, I almost wish that all the green units in the game were mission controllable in some way. I could see that aggressively mediocre. On my first playthrough, I spoke to everyone on every opportunity and things like that, so, like, I felt like I had some attachment, definitely, to some of the characters, at least. But I could definitely see that. That would have been cool. Edge of Dawn is so good. Oh my god. Some of the maps in this game just, like, yeah. I'm with you, Hex. I play without warp skipping a lot these days, but some of them... Oil and Water feels really bad to play without warp skipping. Sword and Shield of Saros is the other one as well. Feels really bad to play without skipping. Although, to be fair, playing Sword and Shield of Saros without skipping gave me one of the funniest moments I've played in Three Houses when me and Tegan played it offline. When we got to, like, we found a way to kill the boss and then the boss just turned around and ran away from us. That was a lot of fun. We did stop playing after that run, to be fair. If I said Oil and Water, I meant Sword and Shield of Saros. But yeah, that was an entertaining map. I just tend to put rules in place every time I play. Like, that's just how I play the game. And, like, I'm happy to play like that. But I get why some people wouldn't. Like, for me, like, the big one is warp skipping. You can also just play hard and not optimize. I personally don't enjoy hard that much, but... I only want to because they're taught you to play, otherwise that's fair. I think some of the late game maps are just too easy to skip. I bring it up every time, but Azure Moon 18 is the biggest joke of a map I've ever seen. Oof, Jeffrey, that's rough. Yes, repairs. Maybe not. I think you know what you're doing, so you should be okay. Like, it will be tough, but I don't think you'll suffer. Maybe chapter... you don't warp skip chapter 13 anyway, but if you don't skip chapter 13, it's... Chapter 13 can be tough. AM18 is the Cornelia map. Cornelia? Is that her name? I think so. Oh, no! Jeffrey! The map's not bad, it's just the most obvious warp skip in the game. Like, the boss is just, like, 10 tiles in front of you from the start or something. Like, the boss is right there. You can just warp a sniper and hunter's volley her over the wall. Like, is the easiest skip in the game. Like, it's she's just there. Like, they don't even put her at the back of the map, they put her in the middle, and then they put all the enemies on the outside of the map. Even if you don't skip the map, you're not going to engage with most of the enemies. Like, it's just... I hate that map with a passion. It just makes me facepalm every time I see it. You definitely have to know sort of when to warp skip and things like that. Chapter 18 would have been a great psych map. I actually agree. And I thought it was the first time I played. I thought I was going to kill this boss and something else was going to happen. I think they should stick to spell lists, but do something with about uses, because they cannot do this again with uses. It's broken beyond belief. Like, mainly with warp and rescue, but even things like bolting. Like, warp was broken when you got, like, 5 uses of it per game. Now you get, like, 6 uses of it per map. Or you can get 8 if you use Manuela. Like, it's so absurd. Well, you got 6, and then they were like, oh, that's not enough. And then they added another warp user and another rescue user in the DLC. It's bizarre. I do not understand. Like, something led them to that decision. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not upset, because Happy's great, but it was, questionable design. I think they need to do something with... I like spell lists. I really, really like spell lists being customized per unit. But they need to do something about casts. 8 warps and 24 rescues, exactly. That's not even a bad idea, Padatha. Like, or like, even like, it's a staff, but certain units can use certain staffs. Like, even that would work. Like, even if you did it, like, they are still tomes, but they're, like, which units can use which tomes is entirely independent. It's not based on, like, this unit can use fire tomes. Like, it's just entirely independent. I think I prefer staves than tomes, but I definitely enjoy spell lists a lot. His messed up Bernie has a notably better spell list than Mercedes. Oof. Repairs behave. Yeah, that's the other thing that makes spells really weird. Like, the good spells, like, feel less restricted than, like, the bad relics. Like, why is it more costly to use Crusher than Warp? Or, like, Blutgang? Like, bit weird. Offensive spells recharging every map. Yeah, like, I see it, for sure. I also kind of wish they made Faith Magic just utility and got things like Aura and Abraxas and Seraphim, like, out of there. Like, I don't know. I think Faith would have been more interesting if it was just utility. Thoughts on gender-exclusive classes? I hate gender-exclusive classes. I've had this rant a couple of times, but I despise gender-exclusive classes. If weapon ranks were gated so you couldn't get warp until super late, yeah, that would help. Like, if warp was like an S+ rank spell or something. If there's no gender locks, who improves the most on the tier list? Oh, so, to? 'Cause, 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 Dedue probably goes S plus tier, maybe higher than Dimitri. Linhart goes up a lot for sure. Felix is another good one. Catherine's a good one. Lauren's, yes, absolutely. Lauren's with... all of the males go up quite significantly because they either get Pegasus Knight or they get the female magic classes. Hubert is really big. Like, all of the males see the benefits a lot more than the females. Pegasus Knight is the bigger one for Dedue. Dedue's mid-game is really weird. Like, I feel like once Dedue gets into advanced classes, he can go like Wyvern Rider or Paladin or even like Warrior and be fine. But I think Dedue's level 10 to 20 is really odd. It constantly feels like his class is just like, I guess this is what's best for him. He doesn't, even like something like Archer or Cav, he doesn't really feel like he thrives. Warmaster Edelgard. Edelgard would still want a Wyvern because of Raging Storm. He wants Deathblow, but he doesn't want to be in Brigand. Cav feels fine if you're going Paladin, but like, if you're not going Paladin, Cav feels weird. Dedue kind of sucks in my opinion. Nah, Dedue's like busted. Dedue's really, really good. I mentioned this in the combat art tier list, which went up earlier. Well, the edited version went up earlier today. But Dedue, on average, one-shots endgame, like, Chapter 22 War Masters from level 20. He's absolutely absurd. Also, like, I get what you mean by, like, Dedue wanting Deathblow, but also Dedue is probably one of the few units in the game who at no point actually needs Deathblow. He's probably one of the units who can actually just let it go, while still having a really good player phase, because his damage is so high. The biggest spike is actually probably Ferdinand, if we're being real. Ferdinand doesn't reach the same heights as someone like Dedue would, but he would... Ferdinand spikes really hard from Swift Strike's Falconite. So does Sylvain, obviously, but, like, again, the rise isn't that hard. Ash as a Falconite would be cool, for sure. Falconite Dimitri would be cool. Seteth, yeah, Seteth's another one. Yeah, the mages benefit a lot because they aren't stuck with what, like, Warlock and Bishop and Dark Knight as endgame classes. Especially Hubert, because he's locked to CF, which hates horses. Hanneman with Valk access would be cool. I agree with Paditha. I don't agree that an entirely open system is bad, but I would like some exclusivity, just not based on gender. I think that's really dumb. Defiant Strength Bernie. Hero would actually be kind of interesting, like Hero Petra. Hero Hilda. Those would be cool. Dark Bishop Lysithia if Dark Bishop was a good class. It's generally better to be a Mel in hopes. That's interesting. Kind of weird how it's different. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. I don't mind them, like, limiting classes. I just think gender is a really stupid thing to do it on. Hero Manuela. Run around soul blading all of the things. I'm down for that, Mediocre. I am 100% down for that. I really like the open class system. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind it having some restrictions, but I think it's a lot of fun. Right, Mike? She's the Garrigmark physician, and she doesn't learn physic. It makes no sense. It's so silly. If you've never played other FE games, go and play FE4. Like now. It's really good. I'm just going to keep advocating for people to go and play FE4. I think there's quite a few similarities between Three Houses and FE4. Aggressively Mediocre, Tubes has a really good video for, like, helping people get into FE4. If you just search Tubes FE4, it will probably come up. And I would recommend it to anyone. It's called Genealogy for Everyone, and I would recommend everyone watch that if you want to get into FE4. When I recruited Manuela, I was expecting a goated healer. Manuela, like... the problem... they could have done so much interesting stuff with Manuela, and instead they just gave her nothing. I personally never found the gameplay of FE4 too slow, but I don't know why. Like, when I think of the slower Fire Emblem games, like, I find FE9 to be the slowest Fire Emblem game. And I'm not saying it actually is in terms of, like, time taken per turn or something, but when I'm playing it, it feels the slowest. Manuela should have just not had a reason Bane. I don't even mind her not having a boon, but don't give her a Bane, it just locked her out of the good classes. I like Manuela as a character, I just wish she did anything to make me want to use her as a unit. Thank you, Tegan! How has it been nearly an hour already? Oh my god. So quick. See, Herc, that's... I actually disagree with it quite a lot, but I can see how you find yourself in that situation. So, the way I play FE4 is... essentially, my mounted units will go towards the current objective, and my foot units will go towards the next objective. So by the time the first objective has been beaten by my Sigurd and his scrubs, the foot units are ready to start the next fight, like while my mounted units path from objective 1 to objective 2. And normally where the objectives are is reasonably transparent. There are some maps that, like, aren't great for that. Like, Chapter 2 is probably a good one. But I think that's, like, the best way to get use out of your foot units in that game. Like, Ira, Yamka, Arden, obviously. Sorry, John, I missed your question there. I just thought other than warp. Oh, you're referring to Manuela. Yeah. I mean, she gets warp, but she gets warp at the time when you can just have a lot of other warpers. I wish Holy Knight had anything that isn't terrain resistance. Like, anything. Lock touch. Like, anything. Like... Now, White Magic Uses ×2 would have been, like... For a blind playthrough, it isn't totally practical. I agree, but normally you can predict, like, where the objectives are going to take you, because it's obviously, like, based around the castles. It isn't completely, like, 100% foolproof, I do agree, but, like, yeah, that personally is how I tend to play the game. And I think it lets you get quite a lot of use out of your foot units. Because they start out kind of slow, and then they end up really slow. The good word of lockpick saves you, like, 100 gold. I like that idea implying. Someone else suggested that before, or it might have been you. I don't remember, but I like that idea. I really like FE4's sound design. The FE and the music, the FE4 arena music lives in my head. I agree. I wish healing was just more... If they want healing to matter, you cannot give every mage heal. Like, the prime example of it is the playthrough we have going on right now, where we're running like 4 or 5 mages. And this is what I mean when I say you don't need healing in 3 houses, because we have so much healing. Like, so much. We have like 50 heals. It's absurd. Oh no, Kranya! No! Yeah, the animation's already good. You can use for... Yeah, exactly. It's really silly. There is just too much healing in 3 houses for healing to actually be worthwhile. And I feel like you stumble into so much healing as well. But that's the thing, like, I don't think you quote-unquote need a physic healer because, like... Well, I don't think you, like, need a dedicated physic healer because there are so many options for healers who do other things. Like, if you need Marianne to be healing, for example, you can just have her flying around stabbing things with Frozen Lance and Darkfire and then you click physic if you need it. Like, same with Linhardt and Warp, Happy and, again, just doing general combat things. Lysithea can just be nuking things and just press heal when you need it. No, yeah. I also think Magic was possibly on too many classes, but... Or perhaps there were simply too many Magic classes. Although the game did seem to have, like, a massive fear of mages being too good, because they really did, like, just gimp them in so many ways. I don't want to make people angry by talking about bolting again, but why does... Why does it have 13 might? 13. 13. It's an A rank spot. 13 might. Healers are nice, but the units that are healing late game also almost never do it as their primary role. I don't think the healers that are healing early game are doing it as their primary role. Like, that's possibly my biggest issue. Like, from, like, Chapter 4, Marianne's primary role is a player phase killer. She heals as, like, her off role. Like, Linhardt is more of a chip bot who occasionally heals, and then he becomes a warp bot who occasionally heals. Happy is a utility unit with things like Banshee and Swarm who has healing. Dorothea is like a long-range chip unit with Thorin and eventually Meteor. Like, I just don't think any of these units, like, ever... Lachesis is always going to be called, like, Rakasi to me, because I had a translation that just changed it to that. Steel Axe Plus has 13 might. Okay, I can do you one better. If you want an attack that does more than... that has 13 might, that has more than 13 might... you can use Tempest Lance with an Iron Lance, which is available in the prologue. The prologue. I understand units have more defense than resistance, but it has less damage than an attack available to you in the prologue. It's... why? Why is it so low? I just want bolting to have a damage stat. The only unit that, like, remotely makes good use of bolting is Constance, and that's nothing to do with, like, bolting being strong. It's because Constance has an absolutely nutty magic unit. What changes would you make to Mercedes's spell list? Get rid of Fortify and give her Rescue. If you want to make her a defensive healer, you make her a, like, utility defensive healer. Restore is actually kind of useful. I think you give her Rescue to pull out your player phase units. It's not probably tangible still if you're or like actually useful if you're playing optimally. But I think it could work like within standard or like suboptimal play. I think if that's what they were going for, they wanted like this purely defensive healing unit, Rescue was the way to go. And Rescue isn't on any of these Faith Mages at base. Like, it's not on Marianne or Linhardt. Base Warlock killed the Tokos on Chapter 13 vaulting, really? That's pretty funny. Rescue is definitely still good, but I'm talking like a defensive rescue, not like an offensive Kanto back rescue. Restore should heal 1 HP, making White Magic heal... That could be cool. I just don't think Fortify is a good spell. I just... I don't know. I don't think there's ever really situations where, like, clicking Fortify is ideal. I also, like, I've said this before, but I think Mercedes is, like, a massive self-fulfilling prophecy as well. Like, if you manage to get use out of Fortify... you probably wouldn't have needed to click Fortify if you had a better unit instead of Mercedes. Like, she might as well keep it. Yeah, if she could just have a whole big pile of, like, Faith spells, that would be cool. Any reason to use offensive Faith versus Reason spells? No. Not really. My favourite thing about Mercedes is her personal screws over Defiant Magic. That's really funny. Magic Bow Sniper Mercy? Yeah, it's probably the best way to use Mercy. Seraphim is the only good Faith attack? Yep, pretty much. 24 damage on monsters is really good. Physic now has 4 more range, but only once. Could work. I don't know, I'm less attached to Physic than most people are, but... Mercy has a boon in bows, which leads to the hilarity in Chapter 1, where she tries to bow down your units and doesn't kill anything. But even on Maddening, Mercy is an absolute pushover in Chapter 1. It's really funny. I enjoy it greatly. Yeah, it's a budding talent, that's true. I think the thing that, like, I find most frustrating about Mercy, and probably why I'm so harsh on her compared to other units, is I don't think trying to get use out of Mercy results in anything fun. Whereas I think with units like Anna and Ashe, it does. Yeah, I was going to say, Linhardt doesn't have one, which is kind of sad. Linhardt's the only unit without a unique combat art, right? Or like a limited combat art, I should say. Kronya, we're using Assassin Claude in the current... Or we're building towards Assassin Claude in the current playthrough we're doing, so I can't answer that now. But, I will be able to in a couple of weeks. Lynn and Happy, okay. I think Happy still has an... Like, Happy gets, Exhaustive Strike, right? Yeah. It's not a magic combat art, but she gets, like, a exclusive combat art. But yeah, I just think, like, whenever I try to think, like, oh, what can I do with Mercedes to get use out of her, it just doesn't sound like anything, like, fun for me. I don't know. Which kind of blows, because, like, I'm a support player in games. It makes me kind of sad that, like, the healing support is kind of butts. Lynn is too busy snoozing to learn weapons. The thing is, though, Lynn knows weapons. Like, you see it in, like, the Petra supports and stuff. Like, he's a smart guy, even when it comes to that stuff. But he just doesn't want to. He's just comfy. Super high investment, great night, double Vegas, double Aegis Mercy, Jesus. Wow, it's been an hour and 10 minutes already. I'm probably going to start getting ready to wrap this up, because it's been an hour and 10 minutes. It's, you know, we can call an end to the chat here for this week. We'll be back with more Thursday Talks next week. I'm really glad people are still into this. It's been like, this is the 4th one, I think. And yeah, it's nice to see that people are still having a good time with it. Do I have anything else to announce? Oh, a few hours ago, the Combat Art tier list, the edited version of it came out. If you're interested, go give it a look. I really like sort of the things that were done on it, so recommend. I don't think there's much else. There's a link to the Patreon in the description. Everyone who supports is currently scrolling on the left-hand side. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. The votes that are ongoing for the next Breaking Down unit and the next tier list are still happening. So if you want to participate, that's still an option to you. Do bear in mind, though, Patreon subs are monthly, like, by calendar month. So if you sub now, it'll last 6 days. So maybe wait until next month. I'm not trying to make anyone do anything that's a poor choice for them. But yeah, apart from that, I will catch you all next time. Have a wonderful night, and goodbye.